Welcome back to another episode of Righties Rage. There is a mass protest set for June 14th, which coincides with Donald Trump's birthday. Also, the military march, Washington DC. There's a mass anti-Trump protest that's heading our way. Here's a clip about it.
This Saturday, it's Flag Day. Happy Flag Day. It's also President Trump's birthday. It's also the day of his big North Korean dictator-style military parade in Washington. More tanks and guns unloading this afternoon outside Washington, D.C. Look at that. Saturday is also the day organizers are planning the next very large nationwide day of protest against Trump and what Trump is doing to the country. Even as Trump panics and inexplicably calls in the military over protests in Los Angeles, this Saturday's protests are being organized by a large coalition of groups and grassroots organizers in all 50 states, all across the country. They're calling it No Kings, the No Kings Day of Defiance. They said this today, quote, "The No Kings mobilizations on June 14th were already planned as a peaceful stand against authoritarian overreach and the gross abuse of power this administration has shown. Now, this military escalation, meaning what's happening in Los Angeles, only confirms what we have known. This government wants to rule by force, not serve the people. From major cities to small towns, we will rise together and say we reject political violence. We reject fear as governance. We reject the myth that only some deserve freedom." On Saturday, June 14th, more than 1,800 rallies will take place across the country, peaceful, organized, and united. The No Kings movement has posted a map online showing where those 1,800 plus rallies will be held. I should tell you, and I think this is important,
1,800 plus rallies are scheduled for Saturday, June 14th. This is amazing. I mean, outstanding. This is a report on Rachel Maddows' show. Look at all the dots. Look at all the protests all over the country. This is not a happy country. It doesn't matter how anyone tries to spin the story. I know they'll say it's fake media. What we do know is what we see. And we see people protesting all over this country. That's not fake media. That's media showing exactly what's happening in your nick of the town. I'm sure this is not the birthday gift President Trump wants, but this is the birthday gift he's getting. And it's not going to be a great birthday. This is not no surprise party. They're letting you know the protest is coming Saturday. Happy birthday.
Of those 1,800, more than 100 of those have been added to the map since Trump announced that he was sending the National Guard into L.A. If he was hoping to get people to not protest, it's backfiring. Organizers are going to hold a series of online trainings this week ahead of the big day. Tomorrow, it's a Know Your Rights training that they're doing nationwide by Zoom so people can better understand how to interact with law enforcement or provocateurs during the demonstrations. Then 2 days later, on Thursday, another big nationwide Zoom call. They're calling it a pre-mobilization mass call. That's for anybody who's planning to participate. Potentially tens of thousands of people are going to be on that call. It's basically just to talk strategy ahead of the big day Saturday. But tonight, as the Trump administration does its best to try to turn the streets of L.A. into a war zone, as Trump's flop sweat and lack of political ideas is manifested in National Guardsmen and now Marines being sent to the streets of L.A., the determination of the No Kings organizers appears to be clear. Many protests, bigger than ever, peacefully, joyfully, everywhere, and unstoppable. There's nothing he fears more.
I don't see any end to this anytime soon. This is amazing, and it's scary what's going on here. People are actually so fed up that they are marching. They're putting their lives on the line. They're risking everything, just like the folks on January 6th, insurrection into the Capitol. But these people are not insurrectionists. They are American citizens. Now, there's a few that's over here that was invited, and now they're being asked to leave or forced to leave. And that's not the way to go. They all are due process. I know, he says, it'll be millions of dollars. It'll be, the courthouses will be backed up because there'll be so many court cases. Well, you could have took some of that money from the military parade. You don't need 20, 30 tanks. 1, 2 tanks would be enough. People would be amazed. You want a parade as big as Putin's, which I still don't understand why Putin had a parade in the middle of a war, but that's just how it is. Now, this is Governor Newsom talking about how Donald Trump brought the gas, the fuel, to the fire and made California peaceful protest larger than what it is. Now they're trying to call it a riot, which sending in the military made it the riot that it is. Here's the clip.
Violence or destroy our communities, you're going to be held to account. That kind of criminal behavior will not be tolerated, full stop. Already more than 220 people have been arrested, and we're reviewing tapes to build additional cases, and people will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Again, thanks to our law enforcement officers and the majority of Angelenos who protested peacefully, the situation was winding down and was concentrated in just a few square blocks downtown. But that's not what Donald Trump wanted. He again chose escalation.
It went dead again. But Mark Wayne Mullen, notice what he does. He's blaming Trump. Law enforcement can't even ask if they're in the country legally. I mean, that's the unbelievable thing to me.
You know, so I never fired.
By the way, he needs a tech operator.
He does. And Sean, I was going to say that I've never fired anybody for making a mistake. I fired a lot of people for not admitting he made a mistake. Gavin Newsom needs to be fired as governor. There is no way this guy should be running that state.
So he needs to be fired because he's looking out for his state. So again, these people that are bowing to Donald Trump are going to use every excuse possible not to blame the person that's responsible for the escalation of what's going on right now. Again, you're going to have, it's Fox News, so of course, they're going to do everything that their king, Donald Trump, says. Governor Newsom didn't have anything to do with this. He was watching out for his constituents. He was watching out for California. Donald Trump is here in Washington, DC. All he had to do was mind his business. He had no reason to send troops. Like Governor Newsom says, everything was winding down. They escalated the situation.
Well, I will tell you this. I think. All right, let's listen to him. Let's dip in again.
Trump is pulling a military dragnet all across Los Angeles, well beyond his stated intent to just go after violent and serious criminals. His agents are arresting dishwashers, gardeners, day laborers, and seamstresses. That's just weakness masquerading as strength. Donald Trump's government isn't protecting our communities. They're traumatizing our communities. And that seems to be the entire point. California will keep fighting. We'll keep fighting on behalf of our people, all of our people, including in the courts. Just yesterday, we filed a legal challenge to Donald Trump's reckless deployment of American troops to a major American city. Today, we sought an emergency court order to stop the use of the American military to engage in law enforcement activities across Los Angeles. If some of us could be...
Now, as you can see, what Fox usually does is on the side, they're showing the criminal history of illegals. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. That's not all of the migrants that's over here. These are the bad people. Yes, we want to get the bad people out of our country. We wish we could get the bad citizens out of our country. That's not how it works. You go through a due process. You don't blame everyone for the screw-ups of the few or the one. Well, all you people that's reporting on Donald Trump would be in trouble. We wouldn't blame you for anything that he's done. You wouldn't blame them for anything that you think must have done. It doesn't make any sense. But again, they're putting up these names and they're trying to make you feel bad about it. And okay, yeah. And some people, yeah, and that domestic abuse and they've had this problem. Yeah. You know how many people domestic abuse? I'm not saying like it's a good thing. Of course it's not. But there's people all over this country. Trump himself has been in court many times for things that have happened. He still became the president. So to put these names up here to try to shame the people, to try to make it seem like, well, we got to get them out. Yes, we got to get out the names that's on this list. But that's not talking about, like Governor Newsom just said, dishwashers, people that's working, that's paying their rent. They're showing movies. They're doing podcasts with ICE, showing them arresting people, waiting outside people's homes at 4 a.m. in the morning. If you're waiting out someone's home 4 a.m. in the morning, that means they're waking up to go to a job. No one's going 4 a.m. in the morning to break up gravel and make bricks to throw at police cars. No, they're going to a job. They're going to make money so that they can pay taxes and take care of their family. That's the issue that you still don't understand. The far right still does not understand that it does not include everyone. We are all individuals. That's what y'all lacking, the empathy of it all. No one's saying somebody's wrong, right, or whatever. But there is a right way to do things. And you don't just lock up everybody.
Snatched off the streets without a warrant, based only on suspicion or skin color, then none of us are safe. Authoritarian regimes begin by targeting people who are least able to defend themselves, but they do not stop there. Trump and his loyalists, they thrive on division because it allows them to take more power and exert even more control. And by the way, Trump, he's not opposed to lawlessness and violence as long as it serves him. What more evidence do we need than January 6th? I ask everyone, take time, reflect on this perilous moment. A president who wants to be bound by no law or constitution, perpetuating a unified assault on American traditions. This is a president who in just over 140 days has fired government watchdogs that could hold him accountable for corruption and fraud. He's declared a war on culture, on history, on science, on knowledge itself. Databases, quite literally, are vanishing. He's delegitimizing news organizations, and he's assaulting the First Amendment. And the threat of defunding them, at threat, he's dictating what universities themselves can teach. He's targeting law firms and the judicial branch that are the foundations of an orderly and civil society. He's calling for a sitting governor to be arrested for no other reason than to, in his own words, for getting elected. And we all know this Saturday, he's ordering our American heroes, the United States military, and forcing them to put on a vulgar display to celebrate his birthday, just as other failed dictators have done in the past. Look, this isn't just about protests here in Los Angeles. When Donald Trump sought blanket authority to commandeer the National Guard, he made that order apply to in this every state. And
the crazy thing is, again, they keep putting on a show where they're showing people what they're doing, and they make it seem like they're doing something great. They showed that most of the military personnel that's participating in the military parade is staying in a building in Washington, DC. They don't have beds. They have cots. And they're saying, well, this is what they're used to sleeping on. That doesn't mean they have to sleep on it. If they're in the United States and you're putting on a military parade to celebrate the military, you can't give them beds? You have to give them cots? What is that? And you make it seem as if y'all doing something. It's going to be like one big family reunion and stuff. They're in Washington, D.C. They may want to go see some museums before the march. They might want to go see family, say hi to someone. And you have them sleeping on cots as if they're on a battlefield. This is not a battlefield. It's Washington, D.C. They're coming to march in a parade. And you couldn't give them beds, linen, thousands silk sheets. I mean, it's ridiculous. But again, you showing it as if you're doing something special, as if it's some type of meaning. The only meaning is to you. It's a dictative move. And again, they won't say anything about it because it's their king, Donald Trump. Well, he's not waving Excalibur. He's waving a pen. And he's signing executive orders. He's probably signing them in his sleep. So this is ridiculous, the situations that's going on. He's going to do everything he can to try to stop this before his parade. But there's no way he's going to be able to stop this. And this is going to be the worst and the funniest parade in history. And it's going to go down on his name and his birthday. His birthday will be synonymous with the ridiculous notion that we wanted a military parade while people are being deported out of the country, forcibly stalked by ICE, and all these news channels are praising him as if he's the new Jesus. It's ridiculous. And the frustration is out there. We hear it. It's no fake news. People are frustrated. It's all over YouTube. It's all over X. Nobody's faking it. X is not fake. You wouldn't call X fake news, even though you and your BFF are having issues. But you can see all the marches. You can see all the protests. We see all the pictures, all the images. This is on you.
This is about all of us. This is about all of us. California may be first. California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other democracy are next. Is democracy. Democracy is under our eyes.
All right, I'm going to stop it there because I know he was having issues with their sound system. But I'm just going to leave it here. The far right is going to bend the knee to anything Donald Trump says. This is Governor Newsom, California. He had the situation under control until Donald Trump sent the military in gasoline underwear and made this power keg explode to what it is today. This military parade is going to be ridiculous. The anti-Trump march is going to be ridiculous. Saturday in DC, the only thing that's good about DC is all the money they took away from DC, like the $1 billion bill that they took away from them, all this tourism will give them some money. So that's a good thing. But you're going to have more people that's going to be unhappy than happy. That doesn't sound like a parade. It sounds like a funeral, like a death march. Now, I will see you next time. This is Righties Rage. Be kind to each other.